This is going to be quite a lengthy YouTube video. I have done it. I've done it on Facebook Live and Twitter Periscope. And what I want to do now is talk about what led me up to where I am today. You see, back in 1988, I joined the United States Marine Corps, and the summer before I was in the joined the Marine Corps, I was making $9 an hour as a temporary summer employee at Enron Corporation, where my dad worked. Now, $9 an hour doesn't sound like a lot, but in 1988, $9 an hour was a pretty good little wage, especially for a temporary summer employee. And it really is sad that I don't know what minimum wage was back in 1988. I really haven't done the research on that. But minimum wage is $7.25 an hour now. And 88, 98, 2008, 2016, 32 years ago, I was making $2 an hour more than $7.25 an hour, or whatever minimum wage is now. But I was a little overweight when I joined the Marine Corps. I went into the Marine Corps at 205, and the first thing you do, what happens to you when you're in the Marine Corps, and you get labeled as a diet private. And I don't know if you've seen the movie Full Metal Jacket, but they try to make you quit. They are so fucking hard on the diet privates. They try to weed them out of the Marine Corps. I don't know why they bother recruiting people that are a little overweight, but they recruited me, and I joined. But like I say, they are vicious. They are vicious to you if you're a little overweight in Marine Corps boot camp. I don't know how they are about it now, but when I was in, it was fucking brutal to be in boot camp and to be a little bit overweight. But anyway, I come out of Marine Corps boot camp at 145 pounds. In the course of 13 weeks, I lost, 95, 85, 75, 65, 55. I lost 60 fucking pounds in Marine Corps boot camp in 13 weeks. A lot of fucking stress, man. A lot of fucking stress. You think you're gonna crack the fuck up. But I made it. And right before I graduated Marine Corps boot camp, one of my drill instructors pulled me aside. Gunnery Sergeant, trying to think of his name. Well, it's not important. I could look it up in my my Marine Corps yearbook that I got. Anyway, he said, Provost, I think you're going to make a good Marine. I didn't think you'd make it, but I think you're going to make a good Marine. Well, anyway, got out of boot camp and went off to my school. Well, first I came home, and they featured me. They featured me on the float. I graduated boot camp the day before the Marine Corps birthday. Then I came home, and they featured me on the Veterans Day parade float here in Clifton, Kansas. And people in Clifton were proud of me at the time. So then I was on Marine Corps recruiting duty. I never recruited one motherfucker. I went to high schools and talked to people. But generally, most people out there are fucking pussies, and they don't want any fucking thing to do with the Marine Corps. It is a very fucking few select people in this country that have the fucking balls to fucking join the Marine Corps. You know what? I'm a Christian, and if you don't like the F word, I went to a Christian counselor, not to get off topic right away, but I went to a Christian counselor, and she told me that it's not unchristian to say the word fuck. So I say the word fuck a lot. And, you know, when I was in the Marine Corps, we said a lot of cuss words too, had our drill instructors cuss a lot, and, you know, if you want to be friends with a Marine, I guess you're going to have to develop a little bit thicker skin, because Marines, they tend to have a foul mouth. And if you don't like that, don't be friends with a Marine. That's all I've got to say about that. But anyway, I went to my school in Courthouse Bay, North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Courthouse Bay, School of Engineers. And I reported in right after Christmas, sometime in January. Served on guard duty while I was waiting for my class to pick up. BHEO 3 was the class. I don't know if there's anybody out there that was in BHEO 3, but that was the class that I was in Courthouse Bay for basic hygiene equipment operator. See, do you get it? BHEO, basic hygiene equipment operator. Third class. I did pretty well and learned my craft in the Marine Corps. And had a friend that I hung out with down there in North Carolina. He always said he was going to bring me home to meet his family. His name was Danny Sharp. And haven't been able to locate Danny Sharp. I haven't seen him on Facebook or Twitter or nothing. I guess Danny Sharp fell off the face of the earth. He used to write my mom letters, and he kept in touch with my mom. I wasn't much of a letter writer, so I kind of lost touch with Danny Sharp. But anyway, I put in on my wish list when I wanted to get my first duty station, and it was supposed to be Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I wanted to be in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. And when they first cut the orders, they were going to put me and Danny Sharp together in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, and I thought, man, I got something. Wow. But then about 15 minutes later, they said, no, you're going to Okinawa. Ah, fuck. So anyway, come home on leave. Was with my girlfriend, Jennifer Jill Walker. Had a 30-day leave before I went to Okinawa. And then I shipped out. I shipped out to Okinawa and spent a year over there and did Team Spirit in Korea, 1989. Team Spirit, 1989. And then also went to Mount Fuji. I think it was in 1990 I went to Mount Fuji. See, I left the Rock in April or May of 1990. I think it was May of 1990 I left the Rock. But went to Mount Fuji, climbed Mount Fuji, and my next duty station was Camp Pendleton, California, Las Pogas. We called it Polgatraz. And got stationed with, basically, backing up a little bit, I was supposed to, when I got on the Rock, they sent me to operations platoon, and I was supposed to be a hygiene equipment operator, but because I was mechanically inclined, they sent me to maintenance platoon with the 3rd Marine Air Wing. And that stuck with me on my way to Camp Pendleton because they shipped me to maintenance battalion out there in Las Pogas, Polgatraz. And was there where I met Rob Kramer. He was my roommate. Also had another roommate before Rob Kramer. His name was Tim, and he was from Pennsylvania, and I can't remember Tim's last name. But and we were roommates up until the Gulf War broke out. And the day they were checking our dog tags and saying that we were getting ready to ship out, they told me that I was going to have to report to the 15th MU, MSSG 15. And so I got detached from maintenance battalion and got sent over to MSSG 13. That's where I met Cornell Keller and Jason Hartig from Beatrice, Nebraska, and Mitch. I think his first name is Michael Mitchell, and he's from Michigan. We're friends on Facebook. Basically, the only friends from the Marine Corps that I have on Facebook are MSSG 15 guys. And I'm in a Facebook group, Marines of 1775. That's mainly full of MSSG 15 guys. But we were supposed we were supposed to MSSG 15. The 15th MEU was supposed to get started on our way over to Iraq, and they kept telling us that we were going to be going, but we never did. And so I did a few training exercises with them and everything. And, you know, half the guys at MSSG 15 were drunks, and they drank and drove, just like, and I didn't have a car, but, I hung out with this fucking guy, Paget. This old Navy vet, from World War II and the Korean War. He spent 20 years in the Navy, and I hung out with his son, and, one night we went to, the E Club in Del Mar, and we got drunk, and, we decided to go to Denny's afterwards and eat breakfast, and then he was bringing me back onto base, and they wouldn't let him on base because they smelled liquor on his breath. Well, they told me that it was okay. I don't know why. I have no idea why they told me it was okay for me to drive. But the MPs, they pulled some fucked up shit. They said, why don't you let him drive? So I drove Paget's fucking truck. He had it fucking jacked up with oversized fucking tires on a Ford Ranger. And, the speedometer, it didn't read the right speed. You were actually going 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. And, so here I am driving back to the barracks, and, fucking get popped, and they give me a fucking DUI. So then, I had to go see my CO and all this bullshit. So I volunteered for, level 3 alcohol rehabilitation training so that, they wouldn't take rank and pay away from me for getting a DUI. And, so then I wasn't eligible to go on the float with the guys, and, so, they shipped me back to, maintenance battalion out there in Las Pogas, and, I had to put up with going to these fucking meetings. They wanted you to make 5 meetings a week for a year. And I got fucking sick and tired of that fucking bullshit. Because I like doing my fucking job, and that bullshit cut into my fucking job. You know? But, you know, you gotta fucking do it, or you're gonna... So, then, my roommate, Rob Kramer, convinced me, to start drinking again. And me and Rob Kramer had a love-hate relationship. Anyway, we drank in the barracks every night, and, things a lot of times got out of hand. I remember the time, I don't remember the name of the Native American that was with us there. I can't remember his name. And it's a real damn shame, you know, because I tried to contact Gary Kendricks, who was out there at Maintenance Battalion, but the prick doesn't want to be my friend on Facebook. We were friends for, about a week, and the prick unfriended me. So fuck you, Gary fucking Kendricks. And I was also friends with Lonnie fucking McMichaels. And Lonnie fucking McMichaels. I talked to Lonnie fucking McMichaels. And I talked to him on the phone, and then he unfriended me on Facebook. You know, kind of chicken fucking shit of a fucking another Marine. We're supposed to be a fucking band of brothers, but fucking Lonnie fucking McMichaels and fucking Gary fucking pissant fucking Kendricks, they don't want to be my friend on Facebook for some odd reason. So anyway, like I said, had a love-hate relationship with Rob Kramer, and we'd get drunk all the time. And also Gary Lane. Haven't heard from Gary Lane. Last time Rob said he ran into Gary Lane, they were both in jail together in Omaha, Nebraska. And the last time I really heard from Rob Kramer was when he was getting ready to go to jail for his 4th or 5th DUI. And he was going to spend 5 years in jail. That's really about the last time I heard from Rob Kramer. And I can't find him on Facebook or nothing. Basically, he's dropped off the face of the earth. So anyway, one night, the Native American fucking got all drunk, and he was pissed off about something, and he puts his fucking head through my fucking, window and bust that motherfucker. And I took my iron for my clothes, and I wrapped the cord around my fucking hand, and I was going to smack him in the fucking head for doing that. But I never did hit him with it. But, anyway, fun times in the barracks, dealing with fucking drunks. It's fucking literally impossible. It's literally impossible to fucking quit drinking when you're in the fucking barracks, because you got all these fucking people drinking around you, yet the fucking Marine Corps expects you to fucking quit drinking. And I've gotten a handle on my fucking drinking. Now, you know, after I got out of the Marine Corps, I quit drinking because, I got married to, Jacqueline Tadero, and I didn't want to put her through some of the same fucking bullshit that my fucking dad put my mom through. My dad called me whining and complaining that mom filed for divorce while I was in the Marine Corps. And so I quit calling home and quit calling my mom. And she fucking called the fucking commanding general of Camp Pendleton and fucking got my fucking CO to fucking make me call home. Yet the bitch won't have any fucking thing to do with me today. And that fucking just gets on my fucking skin. Maybe I should call, the Kansas Board of whatever it is for social workers and tell them that there's a master's level social worker who won't have anything to do with her son. Maybe I should return the fucking favor. But anyway, that's here nor there. I got my mom to go back to my dad the first time. That's when I was in the Marine Corps. And like I said, pretty much most of the time that I was in the Marine Corps, I was in a long-distance relationship with Jennifer Jill Walker. But the distance and being away from each other is It's just too much. And especially when you're in the Marine Corps and you want to, basically you want to have sex with as many women as possible. And so I was looking for a girlfriend out there in California and found one. And, you know, if I'd have been smart, I probably would have never fucking married Jacqueline Tadero. Because, you know what's funny is my roommate's girlfriend that I don't remember the girl that I first met and went on a date with. But anyway, Kristen, I can't remember her last name, but she was dating Rob Kramer. And, Kristen is the one that set me up with Jackie. And I think she just wanted me to have sex with Jackie and get rid of her. Because Kristen warned me. She told me that Jackie likes to get with a guy and then ditch their ass. I wish she would have ditched my ass in California instead of marrying me. Anyway, Jackie and I talked about getting married and everything. And so then I got out of the Marine Corps. And went to my grandma called me on the phone. My grandma Marvis, she said, Keith's back hurts him real bad, and you need to come home and help him take over the farm. So I said, well, you know, whatever. That'll be great. So I come home and negotiated a salary with my grandpa Keith Hardesty. I think it was $250 a week, $1,000 a month. That's what I had to have to survive, to pay my rent. And Jackie was working also at Walmart. And I guess it was breaking Keith's back to pay me. And I was working 12 hours a fucking day, no overtime. No overtime involved. Which is fucked up. Because all the fucking time that I put in out there on the fucking farm, the only people who benefited from inheritance, my grandma bought me a house. But all the fucking hours and shit that I put in and all the wages that I got fucked out of, I think we're fucking even. So, in the fall, Keith wanted to get rid of me because it was costing him too much. So basically, he laid my ass off, and I found a job working for Benjamin Pig Farm out here. He started me out at $8.50 an hour. And I wasn't wise to the ways of working in the working world yet. So I was working with a guy by the name of Seifert, Vincent Seifert, and then Daphne Taylor started working out there, and I had told them like a dumbass. I should have told him I was making fucking $5 an hour. But I told him I was making $8.50 an hour. And I think it got back to this fucking prick by the name of Lyle Lang. He was a bus driver. And he was making like 5 something an hour, whatever minimum wage was. And he had worked for Benjamin for years. And Benjamin was fucking him in the ass. But instead of taking it up with Benjamin like a real fucking man, he took it out on me and was fucking harassing me on the fucking job site. And I got fucking pissed off, and I was driving by him on the fucking tractor, and I flipped him the fucking bird. Well, the little fucking bitch that he is, I think he's dead now, but the little fucking bitch that he is decided to go and fucking must have ratted me out to fucking old man Benjamin. And so old man Benjamin, he never really gave me a reason why he fired me. But I think that's the reason, is because he didn't want to give other employees a raise, and he just basically a jackass himself. Yeah, fuck you, Benjamin, you fucking cocksucker. I hope you fucking kill over. Anyway, so then I was going to school and working there at Benjamin's. I was going to school at Cloud County Community College. And that summer, my mom filed for fucking divorce. And my dad would come whining. I was trying to go to school and study and work a full-time job. And I had my fucking dad coming over to my house whining and crying and, oh, Sherry this and oh, Sherry that. You know, I understand, yeah, I understand. But, you know, I got fucking studies I need to study. The first semester I did pretty well in college. But as every damn night Rick Provo would come over to my house and he'd stay and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But he never changed his ways. My mom wanted him to quit drinking, but the motherfucker wouldn't quit drinking. He didn't want to hear a goddamn thing about not drinking. He wanted my mom back and not quit drinking. Sounds like a fucking liberal. Sounds like a motherfucking liberal who wants everything his fucking way. So anyhow, that winter we had a fucking massive fucking snowstorm, and we got about 15 inches of snow, and me and Jackie had to move out of our house and move in with my dad because we couldn't pay our rent because we weren't working. And my dad had got laid off from his job at Enron, but they were paying him 80% of his salary. And he was still getting paid for a year. They were giving him a year's salary to find another job. Maybe even longer, maybe a year and a half. And he finally found him a job up in Minnesota and moved up to Minnesota. But this is after me and Jackie bailed out and moved back to California. And when we first got to California, we were living with her sister, Mickey and Danny Kramer. And me and Mickey didn't get along that great, but there's other stories I'd like to go into about that, but I'll save that for a private conversation. I'll save all that information for a private conversation if somebody wants to ask me about what it was like to live with Mickey and Danny out there in California. So anyway, I hired in with this dude called Joseph Hananery. Hananery. Can't remember how you spell it. His wife was a gynecologist. And anyway, it was a environmental test drilling, a well drilling company. And I was working as a roughneck for him for $9 an hour. And I worked a fucking shitload of hours for him. And I was making about $700 a week take-home pay. And it took that kind of money to survive in California, because my rent at the time, after we moved out of Mickey and Danny's house in Lake Forest, can't remember the name of the apartment complex, but it was right behind the Albertsons, right there on El Toro Road. And so $850 a month rent for a 1-bedroom apartment. And Jackie and I stayed out there. We got married, and on 9/11, September 11th, 1993, had our honeymoon up in Big Bear Lake. And I quit working for Joseph Hananery because he wouldn't pay me on time. He wouldn't pay me. He'd wait till he owed me a bunch of money, and then he'd pay me. And I got tired of that bullshit. So I quit his ass. And went to work for Digital Networks Company in Mission Viejo. I think it's Mission Viejo, California. And was a cabling, an apprentice, a cabling technician. And I didn't know shit about installing wires and all that bullshit, but I learned on the job. And then working out of town a lot of companies, NAFTA had just got introduced, and a lot of companies were moving to Mexico, so we spent a lot of time working in Mexico. Kenworth trucks and some television manufacturing company. I can't remember the name of it. They were making TVs down there, and we were installing their computer network cabling. And so also spent a couple months out at Barstow College out there in the desert, installing fiber optic network cabling and all that good shit. And I remember one guy I worked with, God, I'm trying to think of his name. Anyway, that's unimportant. But anyway, Jackie and I decided that if we were ever going to be able to afford to have children, that we needed to move back to Kansas. So we devised a plan that I would go first, and I stayed with my Uncle Mike and my Aunt Charlene in Sedgwick, Kansas. And I got a job at Grady Foundries for $9.50 an hour. And I apprenticeshiped there in their apprenticeship program and was working second shift and was learning a lot about being a millwright. Did this thing called teletraining, learning all about power transmission equipment and basically everything you needed to know about being a millwright. Learned a lot. And my supervisor was a great guy at Grady Foundries. My direct supervisor was Chris Reedus. And he was from Mulvane, Kansas. And I don't know where Dave Stone was from, but he was the maintenance superintendent. And I worked there. And then Jackie came out from California, and we got an apartment, and I was working there. And second shift wasn't working for me because I never got to see my wife. So I took a job, and Dave Stone told me, man, you want to stick here with Grady Foundries, we're going to make you into a real good millwright. But I decided that I wanted to work first shift, plus I was getting $1 raise, and I went to work for High Plains Corporation out in Colwich, Kansas. And I can't remember the guy's name, but when I first started working out there, the plant superintendent was the guy who started ICM Corporation. He was the plant superintendent for High Plains, and then they decided they were going to build another ethanol plant in York, Nebraska. Spent some time up there in York, Nebraska working on that ethanol plant as a millwright welder. Still learning my trade, you know. And got up to $11.50 an hour with High Plains. Worked there for about 2 years. And we talked about forming a union, but trying to think of the guy's name. God. Anyway, I talked to one of the older millwrights that was working out there, and he said that they had tried to start a union out there, but nobody would vote for it. And there was a guy, and I should have listened to the guy then. There was a guy working out there that was a member of the pipe fitters local there in Wichita, and he told me that I could start out as an apprentice working for the pipe fitters for $12.50 an hour, and I should have done that when he told me that. I don't know if he was just salting the job or if he was just taking a break from working on the road. But anyway, in the summer of 1995, well, actually, in May of 1995, the corn prices went up to like $5 an hour. And High Plains assured us, they quit producing ethanol, and they assured us that we would all keep our jobs in the maintenance department. They were going to keep us there, and we were going to work on upgrading the plant that summer while while the operations people were laid off. And this lasted about 2 weeks. And my maintenance supervisor out there at the ethanol plant in Colwich, his name was Steve Van Norden. And about 2 weeks after they laid off the operations guys, they laid off all but about 2 or 3 of us maintenance millwrights in the maintenance department. And so I got my unemployment, and I was looking for, and unemployment only paid like $230 a week or something at the time. And I was used to making about $800 a week with my overtime out there, because of all the overtime that I worked. But I got hired on to Cargill Flour Milling in Wichita, Kansas as a millwright welder. And my supervisor was trying to think of his name now. Let's see. Gosh darn it. Bill Weber. And I worked with Al Marino and Gary Rigoneri. And there was another old tinner, Spider Tinner, that I was apprenticing from. And anyway, I was learning a lot there at Cargill about millwright and millwrighting. And they hired me in as an A maintenance hand. It was a union shop. Grain Millers, South Central, AFL-CIO. And we had a lot of union meetings. And Norman, can't remember his last name, Norman George was the union steward, and he went into negotiations with this K-Stater named Paul. Can't remember his last name, but they gave him a 25-cent raise, and we rejected the contract. They implied the contract to us, and we had a union meeting, and we decided it wasn't feasible to go out on strike until Newton, Wellington, Topeka, and Wichita were all on without a contract, and then we would strike all at the same time. But Newton, Kansas, when their contract came around, they accepted a $1.50 raise and basically fucked the rest of us union hands. And so I got sick of that bullshit. And I went on a job fair to Learjet. Learjet had a job fair down at the airport at the Hilton. And I knew if I wanted to make any money in Wichita, it was going to be an aircraft. So anyway, when I'm at the job fair, this guy by the name of the owner of Apex Engineering was there also. And he was trying to build up Apex Engineering, a company that he just purchased. And he was looking for a millwright for his maintenance department that could weld overhead and do some work for him. And he had a maintenance supervisor by the name of Chip Manning. And the only thing Chip Manning knew about welding was MIG welding. He did not know how to arc weld. So anyway, I left Cargill and went to work for Apex Engineering. And I was making $13.50 an hour. And had this helper that was helping me. And the motherfucker was making about $17 an hour. And I didn't know it at the time, but my fucking helper was making $17 an hour. And I was only making $13.50. And this motherfucker didn't know shit. But anyway, he followed me around like a fucking lost pup. And I was showing him things and all kinds of stuff. And anyway, lo and behold, Josh Olga, the owner of the company, told him that he could work as many hours as he wants. But Josh was fucking him. Josh would clock into the company, and then go home. And the company got wise to that bullshit, and they fired him. And I don't blame them. But I felt sorry for the dumbass. And so I got him a job out there at High Plains Corporation. And he started out at operations out there for about $12.50 an hour or whatever. I don't remember what they were paying him. But then they cut my overtime, and this is right about the fucking time that my ex-wife was online. My ex-wife Jacqueline was online with AOL, and she was meeting guys online and talking to them online. And I'm not certain, but I think she flew up to Michigan and met some fucking dude, and I'm not sure if she was going to have sex with him and chickened out. But anyway, she was supposedly going on a job interview, and the tickets were supposed to be paid by the company that she had a job interview, but later on I found out that she charged them to my fucking credit card. But anyway, when she came home, and I was working part-time out there at the ethanol plant, when she came home from that trip to Michigan, she started crying. Oh, I realized how much you love me, and all this stuff. And while she was going, I don't know, she might have had her own nervous breakdown or something. But anyway, my son had just been born, and he was a tiny little baby. And that summer, she lost a bunch of weight. I lost a bunch of weight because I had gained weight when she was pregnant with my son. And then that Christmas, she decided after Christmas she was going to fly home, and her mom was paying for the tickets, and she was going to fly home and see her folks. Well, I don't know, and I can't prove this, that her sister set her up with some guy. But then she came home, and when she came home, she decided that she was going to get a boob job and a nose job. And I came home from work one night, and she was on the phone with the creditors, and she needed me to talk to the creditors so that they would charge these boobs to my credit. And so she gets a boob job and a nose job. And there was some people that I was friends with there in Sedgwick, and she stayed with them because she was immobile for about a week after she had her surgery, and they nursed her back to health. And she basically shit the fuck all over them. She took advantage of them, and she's basically a fucking snake in the fucking grass. And my kids hate me for telling the truth, but anyway, after she got done with her surgery on March the 19th of 1999, she decides that she's gonna go back out to California and see her family again. Little did I know that she was planning on staying there. Anyway, after she gets out there, she calls me on the phone and calling me all kinds of no good motherfucker. I hate your fucking guts, you son of a bitch, and all this shit. And so anyway, then a couple days later, she calls me up. Oh, we just need to talk. We need to have talks. You need to sell the house and move to California. So I put the house on the market, and there I am in Kansas all alone, and my kids are in California. This shit went on, her calling me and talking to me and all this shit. This shit went on for about 6 months, and I finally got wise to it. And my mom said, she's just bullshitting you. She's trying to get residency in California, and she's gonna file for divorce on you, and you're gonna have to pay California child support. And I called Jackie and told her, you better get your ass back home. I'm not gonna let it hit 6 months, and if you don't, I'm gonna file for divorce. And she hem-hawed around, and I finally got a check from my grandma. And I had been going to Bible study and all that, and praying to God and all this stuff. And so I had the check to get for a retainer from my grandma to get an attorney, $1,000. And I prayed to God, and I said, God, if you don't want me to file for divorce, give me a sign. And I took a cutting torch, and I burnt the check up. And then lightning struck, and there was thunder. I don't know. Maybe that was a sign. So then I called my grandma up and told her that I burnt the check. She needed to send me another check. So then I took the check, and me and my mom went to the attorney, filed for divorce, got custody of my kids, flew out to California, brought my kids home. Summer had the kids, and Jackie was at her boyfriend's house. I find out later from her mom, after her mom broke the news to me and told me that she was dating somebody the whole time she was in California. So then here I am in Kansas, and I'm raising my kids all by myself, and she wouldn't pay me no fucking child support or nothing. Got a babysitter, and I was working as much overtime as I could. You know, it's a bitch, but I was raising the kids by myself with no with no fucking help from anybody, no child support. And the child support was racking up and racking up and racking up. And she was working out there, and my attorney in the private investigator found out